Hey, how you doing? Ty Hicks here. Thanks so much for tuning in. In this quick video, I wanted to explore one of the most powerful questions that I think we all could do a much better job of asking ourselves in times of stress and adversity and when life is coming at you and you don't exactly know what to do. What I've really found in my work with individuals, now over 55,000 individuals across the country, as well as my intense study of the principles of psychotherapy, is that we tend to have an internal story that does not necessarily equate to what we're actually experiencing in the world. So let me back up and share a little bit of what I mean. You know, if your romantic partner, let's say, does something that alarms you, let's say they walk out in the morning without saying goodbye to you, you know, you may create a sort of internal story about that event. You may say, they don't love me, they don't care about me, they didn't even acknowledge me, whatever the case may be. But the thing that I want you to understand is that your relationship to them is independent of your experience of that painful moment. The thing to really pick out is that it's not even them that you're upset with. It's really your projection onto them. In other words, it's the story that you have about what that moment was that's really causing you the pain, not them themselves. Because, for instance, if you were to ask yourself the question, and how I started this video is, what's the question we need to be asking ourselves more frequently? The question is it really true? Okay, so if you've got a belief going around in your head, or if you've got a moment that's causing you a lot of pain and you're telling yourself something internally like they don't care, they did this, they don't like me, you know, whatever it is, I'm not good enough, my mother will never, treat me the way that I deserve to be treated, my boss is, an ass, whatever it is. What you want to do is you want to look at that thought. If it's causing you stress, if it's causing you pain, meditate on it for a minute. And I don't mean, get in the whole pose and stance and everything, but I just mean think on that thought for a minute and ask yourself, is it really true? Is it really true? And the next question you could ask is, can you absolutely know that it is true? Okay, so let's go back to the example of, the partner left and the other partner thinks that they were unacknowledged, they didn't get the hug they were looking for, or whatever the case is. If you ask, well, is it really true that they didn't acknowledge you? All of a sudden you start to realize, oh, well, probably they did acknowledge me. And in fact, I can probably remember a specific piece of that moment when they did sincerely acknowledge me. Because, this guy who just walked to the car without giving his girlfriend a hug, he probably did acknowledge her. And he may not have acknowledged her in the way that she was anticipating or hoping for, but to make up a story and magnify this event in the mind in such a way that it causes pain is unnecessary. And the pain is being caused by the story. The pain is not being caused by him. That's what I really want you to get out of this, is that the pain you're experiencing, the fear you're experiencing, whatever negative emotion, the stress, anxiety, depression, all of it is generated from your internal story about the world, not about how the world actually is. So whatever it is that's showing up, that's manifesting in an ugly sense, ask yourself, is it really true? Let me give you a metaphor also too. Think of a map, okay? So if I gave you an atlas, all those old things, the printed on paper things, and you were looking at that map, it's pretty obvious to you that the map does not equal the territory, right? I said this a minute ago. There's probably bushes and details and whatever, in the actual reality that aren't represented on the map. And it may not be to scale perfectly, etc. You get the metaphor. So the point is that the map is actually a altered, distorted, adjusted representation of reality. Similarly, that's what's going on with your thoughts. Your beliefs, your belief structures, your story, your reactions, they aren't necessarily true. Now, I'm not saying that you need to walk around and doubt everything that you believe. I'm sure that you're a perfectly, sane individual that's just as rational and irrational as the rest of us. So this is not about, some woo-woo speech that there's no reality out there that's accessible. What I'm actually trying to inquire for you, what I'm actually getting you to consider, is that you shouldn't pretend things are worse than they actually are. This is not about pretending this is not about pretending that things are better than they actually are and just going into some positive thinky BS space. No, but it's about you being able to sort of dehypnotize yourself and break out of those limiting frames of mind that are actually causing you pain or stress or limitation where they don't need to be. So the question you want to be asking in these moments is it really true? The next question you would want to ask is, can you absolutely know that it is true? So, can you absolutely know that he didn't acknowledge you? The answer pretty clearly seems to be, no, I can't absolutely know that that's true, right? The third question you want to ask is, what happens to me when I believe it is true? And as soon as you enter into that mode, you can start to see just how powerful this internal map can be and how destructive it can be. And those three questions, I think, are pretty damn pivotal if you start using them on a regular basis. But even just asking, is it really true? In these moments of pain will be really, really useful for you. These questions emerge from Byron Katie's work. She is a fantastic individual who experienced some incredibly hard times in her life, mental health-wise, and now has come to have a mind at peace with itself. And that's really what personal freedom is all about, I think. And that's what you'll hear me talk about all the time, is personal freedom is the ability to recognize that there are internal boxes we put ourselves in and that we can break those open. And as soon as that happens, there's an entirely different level of life that's available to us. So what's your most destructive thought right now? And is it really true? Thanks for tuning in.